The past few decades have seen a marked increase in representation of marginalized groups in the media. In recent shows, this has been even more apparent, like in the Bridgerton spin-off Queen Charlotte. In case you didn't know, the queen portrayed in this series is played by a black actress. Netflix's description of the new series reads, "Betrothed to the mysterious King of England against her will, Charlotte arrives in London only to realize she was not exactly what the royals were expecting. As she learns to navigate the palace, the tun, and her unpredictable husband, she grows into one of Europe's most unforgettable monarchs." Queen Charlotte first appeared in Bridgerton, played by Golda Rosheuvel, and the character was so popular that they've decided to give the queen a spin-off of her own.
I was joyous at their reaction. We'd done our job.
It was great to kind of see that people were happy with the person that they chose, and then that happened to be me.
India is an astonishing actress.
The spin-off will be a prequel set before the events of Bridgerton and will tell the story of the queen and her love story with the future king. Julia Quinn, who wrote the novels that Bridgerton is based on, will also be writing a new novel as an accompaniment to the spin-off for those of us who want even more Queen Charlotte in our lives. Now, Bridgerton came out a while ago, so the representation of black actors in the series is nothing new. So why are people making such a big deal over this particular character? There are a few reasons. First, this character is the queen, of England. Now, I'm sure you know that this is completely inaccurate to our real-world history. The vast majority of black people in England during the time is set were probably slaves, and those that weren't were definitely not welcome in high society, let alone a part of the monarchy. So some people are mad as though the show is somehow meant to be historically accurate. Like, hello, just because they wore old-timey clothes doesn't mean it really happened. It's just a story. Historical fiction is an awesome genre for exploring fun hypotheticals about the world, but still, having a black queen is far more revolutionary and gives the show a lot of interesting ideas to flesh out.
India Amatefia.
Golda was very selfless in giving me the opportunity to kind of take this role as my own.
I was so excited for her to just fly.
The show isn't trying to be accurate, and honestly, it shouldn't have to. Casting actors of different ethnicities and backgrounds only gives us more perspectives, which makes for more interesting stories. And isn't that something we can all agree on? I don't know about you, but I want new shows to be, well, new, not the same old thing over and over again. Golda said it herself. I think especially in the world we are in now, to celebrate Black history is really, really important. And through a female protagonist, female historical character. I think it's really cool and beautiful and right on, and it's an extraordinary story because, as we've said, it's one of love, which is very rare, I think. Adjoa Ando, who plays Lady Danbury, spoke on this as well. On a practical level, also as actors of color, to be able to be in stories that are not entirely contemporary, and to be in those stories not as enslaved, downtrodden people, because there are more stories, and this isn't a documentary, but it's based on a truth, and to have that truth aired, it gives us space to expand. And also, we've been here for an extremely long time, and we have a place in all the stories that are told because it enriches all our history. It's not just Black representation that this franchise has given us. We've also enjoyed some really positive and powerful South Asian representation through the characters of Viscount Anthony Bridgerton and Kate Sharma.
From the moment I saw you riding alone in that park, it was obvious the rules are meaningless to you.
You and your rules.
Perhaps if you'd not been out once again the other morning, we might not have been put in such a difficult...
The actors and everyone in production certainly seem happy with their forward thinking, but what do the fans think? Most fans are happy with the representation, but some have said they want more. Some common complaints are that since Bridgerton marketed itself as telling a historical story in a colorblind sense, they should have even more people of color and LGBTQ+ characters. One Reddit user said, "I will say that the representation has been great, but it seems like people are not happy enough with the representation. There have been complaints about the representation of Kate. There are complaints that Poland and Philoise are white. There are complaints about a lack of LGBTQ+ representation. There was a complaint that all biracial couples have a white person in it." Another said, "The show set its own bar to be a colorblind society. That was part of the draw, and what they said their goal was, so to go back on it is disingenuous. POC don't have to be happy about the bare minimum being offered to us. I am sure there are enough people who don't care about it to keep the show successful, but we shouldn't be asked to just accept whatever attempt they make at diversity when, again, it it was their own goal. And yet, some other fans have pointed out the potential issue of colorism in the franchise. For those of you who don't know, colorism is defined as prejudice or discrimination against individuals with a dark skin tone, typically among people of the same ethnic or racial group. Those fans have pointed out a serious lack of darker toned people and the fact that all of the people of color on the show are quite light. This isn't new, of course. A simple Google search of models will more than likely bring up a lot of photos of people with comparably lighter skin than the group tends to have. So, what is the right answer? It isn't quite so simple, unfortunately. There are other factors to take into account as well, such as the diversity of actors that show up to audition for a certain part. And to take it one step further, what should the show do if they have to choose between two actors to play a role? One is white and the other is not, but the white actor is a better performer. There just isn't a universally acceptable solution.
There is something about India.
She looks like me, obviously.
So many responses on social media have noted how incredible the precision of this casting is. Were you surprised by the reaction?
There has also been a lot of discussion over the male leads of the show and how they tend to be white. Could it be that the casting team was uncomfortable casting a person of color as the king, or any of the powerful men in the series? Or could it simply be because there weren't enough actors of color who auditioned for these roles? Unfortunately, it is a very difficult question because these casting decisions are, at the end of the day, based on what the casting director thinks is best, and there are lots of factors to consider when hiring an actor for a role.
Finds such power.
I needed to know where she ends up in order to have little flicks and flickers of modern-day Charlotte, but I didn't want to bog myself down. That's not who she was when she was young.
I think it's pretty naive to think that it's as simple as finding the best actor. It's not really something you can measure, is it? It's subjective. You'd think that would be enough for people to stop criticizing the casting, but here we are. Others have suggested that the Featherington family should have been composed of people of color to add to the diversity, since many have pointed out that most of the main cast is white. However, this would lead to a very problematic situation, since the Featheringtons are meant to be the opposite of the Bridgertons, a sort of unpopular lower-class family. How would it have looked if the casting team had cast white people as the Bridgertons and people of color as the opposing family?
Single word. Just gets over with.
Now let us see it.
This is a very complex topic, so we must ask you all to keep things civil in the comments section. We want to keep the conversation going, so let us know what you think down below. Just remember to keep it respectful. Queen Charlotte will be premiering on Netflix in May of this year, so mark your calendars. Thank you all so much for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. See you all in the next one.